Honda's Pilot is one of the most popular three-row crossovers on the market, and it's all new for 2023. What's up, folks? I'm Dave Underkoffler, editor-in-chief of Autolist.com, back with another one-week test drive. This week's victim is the 2023 Honda Pilot. It's been completely redesigned for this model year and now sports a bold new look on the outside, more space and practicality on the inside, and a host of other upgrades throughout. So is all of that going to be enough to top a long list of popular rivals that includes the Toyota Highlander, Mazda CX-90, Ford Explorer, Nissan Pathfinder, and Kia Telluride? Let's go spend a week with one and find out. All right, we'll start with a walk around of the exterior on this new Pilot. Overall, it's about 3 inches longer. The wheelbase is about 3 inches longer than the previous generation of Pilot. The length is also up. This is actually a couple inches longer than the Kia Telluride, and I know it doesn't look like it. Kia definitely looks like a bigger vehicle, but not so. It's been completely redesigned, as I mentioned, much more bold, especially in the front here. Here's a look at the previous generation of Pilot, much more rounded. And we'll go back to here. What I like is that this new version is crisp, it's bold, but it doesn't overdo it, right? You do have this big grille here, Honda emblem, but it's still tasteful. It's gonna age well. The model we're testing here is the fully loaded Elite version. That's over $53,000, including destination. But you don't have to spend that much to get a Pilot. A base LX with front wheel drive starts at about $37,600. And then sort of runs the gamut between that price point and the fully loaded version you see here. We've got 20-inch alloy wheels. Lower end trims will have 18-inch wheels. But I do like the back here as well. It's handsome, it's bold, doesn't overdo it, not overly styled. Got the big Pilot badging kind of running down the side there. We'll open up the cargo area. As you might imagine, cargo space is up over the previous version. So it is a 3-row crossover. You can see that there. Decent space back here. You also then have a nice additional storage area down there. These seats, let's see if I can do it with one hand. There we go. Do fold flat. So that's kind of handy. Get this one out of the way. So quite a bit of cargo space with those folded. And then there's some tricks up the sleeve in terms of that second row, and I'll show you that a little bit later, but it is pretty cool. While we're back here, got a USB charge port on either side. So, pretty cool. Close this up. So what do you guys think in terms of styling of this versus maybe a Toyota Highlander, a Chevy Traverse, maybe Kia's Telluride? Do you like this look more, or do you prefer one of the rivals? Let us know in the comments below. I'd love to hear your thoughts. So let's see what's under this hood now. All right, under the hood, pretty standard fare for this segment. There's no hybrid available and there's no turbocharged engine available. You just get a very standard V6 engine, 3.5 liters, makes 285 horsepower and 262 pound-feet of torque. It's paired with an all-new 10-speed automatic transmission on all trims. Base trims and lower-end trims do come standard with front-wheel drive. All-wheel drive is a $2,100 option on those. When you go from Trail Sport to Touring to Elite, those three come standard with all-wheel drive. In terms of fuel economy, front-wheel drive versions are rated at 19 miles per gallon in the city, 27 on the highway, and 22 combined. On all-wheel drive versions, each of those numbers goes down by 1 mile per gallon or so. I do want to point out that this generation of Pilot is actually slightly less fuel efficient than the outgoing version, and you usually don't see that. Usually when there's a new generation, it is more efficient than the one it's replacing. So just something to note. Also, in terms of where this stacks up against the competition in terms of fuel economy, it's on the lower end. So most of the models you're going to be comparing it with are going to get better mileage at the pump. All right, let's take a look at the inside of this Pilot. I gotta say, I really like what Honda has done here in terms of how they've mixed and blended practicality, functionality, with style and comfort. So a couple of things to note. This is a 9-inch touchscreen infotainment system, has standard wireless Apple CarPlay and wireless Android Auto. This is on most trims of the Pilot. The base LX and the Sport trim will come with a 7-inch screen here, and then this connectivity is not wireless, just something to note. But I do like the way this is set up. I wish it were a little bit bigger. On this fully loaded version, $53,000. I think maybe you'd get a bigger screen, but I'll take it. It's nitpicking at this point. I do like that there are physical buttons right here for the volume knob, the home button. That's nice to have those buttons there no matter what's going on in this screen. Down below, you've got climate control, and I gotta say, I'm seeing a little bit of influence by Mazda here. I know this is a Honda, but Mazda has been pushing this segment a little more premium, and I see that here. So let's turn this on. If you just listen to these knobs, that's kind of an upscale feel. This general design sort of seems to have a little bit of Mazda influence on it. You do have a stitched dashboard kind of running the length of the car there. So yeah, that's really nice to have. It's sort of a nice feature in this family SUV segment. This is a dual zone climate control. You can see down below, we've got wireless smartphone charging, little cubby space here, some USB ports. That's nice. The shifter is here. Takes a little getting used to. It's push button, put drive and sport there, neutral here. Push that back to put it into reverse, and then obviously park is there. I do wish this were more of a conventional kind of shifter setup. I know this saves space, but so it takes a little getting used to. But you've got a lot of storage throughout the cabin. Cubbies everywhere, cup holders. This is a family SUV, so you would expect that, and the Pilot definitely delivers. We're testing a fully loaded Elite, as I mentioned, so that gets you goodies like, you can get over there, heated and cooled seats right there for the front passengers. Second row also gets heated seats. We also have a digital instrument panel that's only on the Elite. There's a heads-up display as well. You can't really see that. And then a huge panoramic moonroof. That's really nice. Overall, a lot of visibility in this car. Been really impressed. I'll talk more about that in the driving impressions. But yeah, feels good. You can definitely see plenty of what's going on around you, which is good. This is a big vehicle. And then these seats, nicely bolstered, pretty comfortable. I don't know if I love the brown, but yeah, definitely a car you could spend a long time in, ready for a road trip in these seats. So that's pretty nice. All right, let's check out the second and third row. All right, now to the middle row of seats on this Pilot. Before we get in there, I want to show you one thing. Because this is the Elite trim, we have a sunshade there, just a nice little feature to keep the sun off the face of your little guys sleeping back here. Another thing that I like is that all models of the Pilot have this button here, and there's the same button. It's on the back of the seat right there. You push that, it basically means you have one touch folding up and out of the way. It's not power, but it is spring-loaded. That gives you access to the third row. I'll crawl back there in a minute and show you guys the space. There's the other button for the seat back. That's just nice to have, right? Gets the seat out of the way very easily. A little kid can do that without needing to use an adult. And then this lever here would recline that seat back for a little more comfort. So let's show you the space back here. If you've seen our videos before, you know the drill. I put this seat to where I would have it if I were sitting up front. I'm 6'1", so I'm basically sitting behind myself. And yeah, a lot of room for my feet, knees, tons of headroom. And that's headroom including the fact that we have a moonroof. Sometimes that cuts into headspace, not so here. So yeah, very comfortable back here. Again, because this is the Elite, we have heated seats back here, 3-stage, and then our own climate control. So that's pretty cool. And then down below, you can see we have a pair of USB ports, and then, if I can get it open, an outlet. So great for road trips. You can plug in a lot of devices back here, keep everybody happy. And there's the second row. All right, now we're going to show you whether an adult can fit back there. I haven't done this before, so you guys are going to be along for this journey with me. So we move that seat out of the way using that button I showed you guys. Close the door. And slide the seat back. So this seat is where I would have it if I were driving as a 6'1" person, and then if another one of me were in the middle seat. So I'm sitting now 3 in a row, and yeah, it's actually pretty good. There's a nice bit of space underneath this seat. That's not always the case. So it means I can put my feet under there. It's a little narrow. I've got cup holders here kind of eating into my elbow. But space-wise, I'm good. My head, if I sit up really tall, hits just a little bit. There's sort of a hump right here. I think it's for the hinge for the rear door. But overall, it's manageable. You could put 3 rows of adults in this car for a longer road trip, and I think everybody would be fine. Obviously, I'd prefer to be in this seat, but Yeah, a lot of other competitors in this segment, this is a pretty tight place to be for adults. So it's nice to know in this Pilot, you can get 3 adults in a row and everybody's going to be pretty comfortable. Another thing I want to point out is that you can get captain's chairs for this middle row of seats on most trims of the Pilot. So that's just something to consider. Obviously, we don't have that in our tester, but what we do have is this pretty cool seating configuration. Let me just show you. It's got a few tricks up its sleeve. You can pull this lever here. The entire thing folds flat. It's a really large armrest, some storage space, and some cup holders. You can then, there's a lever down here. If you pull that, this entire thing releases and you can take it out and either store it in the garage or in the storage space in the floor of the cargo area. All right, we'll show you how this stores in the cargo area. Right down there in the floor. It's not particularly light, so this is definitely something an adult is going to need to do, but it does go right in the floor there. And then you put the cargo cover back on, and you're good to go. All right, driving impressions. Generally, I really like driving this Pilot. The V6, 285 horsepower. Yes, on paper, that might be down a little bit versus some of its competitors, the Hyundai Palisade, the Kia Telluride, even the Ford Explorer with the turbo, but you don't feel it. This car never feels underpowered. It has more than enough. Honda makes really great engines. They've made great engines for a long time. This is no exception. This engine feels good. It sounds good when you really get on it, so that's really nice. I will say the only hiccup in that driving experience is the 10-speed automatic transmission that this engine is hooked up to. 2 things I don't love about the transmission. For one, the shifts seem a little sort of glitchy. They're not quite as smooth as I would hope on a brand new transmission like that. So that's a little frustrating. And then also the shifts themselves, the timing of them seems a little off. There have been a few times when I'm driving and I sort of seem to catch the transmission kind of off guard. It's got to shift a few more times to give me the power that I'm looking for. So that gets a little frustrating. I will say that's not a deal breaker, right? This is why we recommend everybody get in the car, test drive it, see if you notice it. I doubt that you will. I get kind of nitpicky on things like this. So generally a really good driving experience, but I wanted to point out that those 2 little flaws about the transmission. Otherwise, the rest of the driving experience is really great. This is a quiet car. It's a comfortable car. The suspension is tuned a little bit on the sporty side, on the firm side, but I like that. I actually prefer it. The steering is also on the light side. I might actually go for something a little bit more feedback, but I think a lot of other drivers will like the way this feels. I gotta say, you can turn this car around on a dime. The turning radius on this thing, despite its size, is really impressive. So that's great. On a vehicle this big, you're trying to get it in and out of tight parking spaces. You've got an advantage in this Pilot. The road noise, wind noise, really nicely controlled. And then the seats, yeah, very comfortable. This is meant for longer road trips, put the whole family in it, and it definitely succeeds in that regard. All right, folks, there you have it, our 1-week test drive of the all-new 2023 Honda Pilot. I just checked our fuel economy, and over 230 miles of testing, we averaged 19 miles per gallon. That's pretty good considering just how big this vehicle is. Overall, we've really enjoyed the Honda Pilot. We think it's a great mix of practicality and comfort. So if you're shopping for a 3-row family SUV, this should definitely be on your list. We would also check out the Nissan Pathfinder, Kia Telluride, and Hyundai Palisade. So for reviews or listings of this Pilot or anything else you're shopping for, be sure to check out Autolist.com. And before you go, like and subscribe to this channel so you can get alerts on all of our future updates. Thanks for watching.